All right, it was late last year. The majority Conservatives at Queen's Park said we're opening up 74 acres of the Greenbelt. With more reporting came more questions, came resignations, came an Auditor General's report, came an Ethics Commissioner's report, came more pressure, came falling poll numbers for the Conservatives, and it all came to a head yesterday.
It was a mistake to open the Greenbelt. It was a mistake to establish a process that moved too fast. As a first step to earn back your trust, I'll be reversing the changes we made and won't make any changes to the Greenbelt in the future.
This all comes after a scathing report found that select developers, two specifically, got over $8 billion in benefits because of opening up this land. Opposition parties say this investigation's not done. The RCMP were contacted by City News' Richard Southern yesterday. They are still investigating whether or not they are going to investigate. So that's where that stands with the RCMP. Tammie, this was it's been a while now, and I'm still kind of shocked to play it out this way yesterday in Niagara Falls.
Yeah, a real surprise, not because of the calls, of course, the many calls to reverse this plan over the almost a year now, but because of the doubling down with all of these reports that have come out over the last couple of weeks. The fact that we have seen not one but two cabinet ministers now resign, and it was huge when the chief of staff and when Housing Minister Steve Clark, former Housing Minister, stepped down. You would think that that would indicate that there were issues, so maybe we need to, look at this whole plan again. But there was more doubling down at that time, saying, no, we have to develop on this land. We have no choice. There is a housing crisis. The thing is, there's still a housing crisis today. For that reversal to come now, the question just begs, and we're going to talk to a political expert in a minute, but why now? Is it because of the dipping poll numbers? Is it because there truly is this sense that we have to do better on trying to figure out what to do with this plan? Is it a sense of hearing the calls from everyone, environmentalists and beyond, saying this land should be protected, and it was land that you promised to protect in 2018.
Mm-hmm. It's true. I mean, the motivation behind it is definitely one to look at, especially because there's been integrity issues from jump here. But I mean, I think potentially the only thing worse than this kind of thing is for it to keep going. I mean, this is a change, and a change that listens to the environmental activists, the Indigenous leaders, the community leaders, everyone that stepped forward. So I think this is indication that, your voice counts. And when you are in opposition of something, there's political process. And we as a community can speak up and can be heard and can affect change. So this is a win for voices being heard in this province.
It definitely is. And it's a win for journalism here. Look, let's tell it like it is. There's a lot of reasons we're here. Some quality reporting went into the story for weeks and weeks and weeks in terms of how few people did benefit from this deal, how quickly it was ramrodded through Queen's Park, and how little oversight, in theory, as people testified under oath, was shown to this very significant move by the Ford government. And I got to tell you, it's the poll numbers on this. We haven't talked about this yet. Even at the height of the pandemic, do you remember the moment where everyone was mad at Doug Ford? People thought he didn't go far enough with the restrictions. And there were people who thought this was nuts. Business owners, there was a moment where everyone was mad at Doug Ford in this province, and his poll numbers still weren't as bad as they are right now off of this story. And we talked about it not long after the story kind of broke in terms of how many few people benefited. You cannot, I know the Ontario electorate seems really sleepy. You still can't talk to people like they're dumb. You still can't talk to people like they'll just say, oh, no problem, absolutely. How many times that interview you did with Steve Clark? I think about that a lot on this show before he stepped down as housing minister. Just the party line, I'm going to say the party line over and over and over, and I'm going to get through this because really we just had the lowest turnout in provincial history for an election and nobody really cares. That's not how this played out. 80% of Ontarians really cared about this story, really cared about this story. Now, we had some comments earlier about resigning. Because if 4 people around Doug Ford are now gone, okay? Gone from either cabinet or in an assistant position. I don't believe a resignation of this premier is warranted yet. However, if the RCMP decide to investigate this, he needs to resign within an hour. I've had it. I've seen a lot of stuff here, and I'm not willing to go that far on Doug Ford as premier. If the RCMP decides they are investigating, I'm out. And he needs to fall on his sword and do the honorable thing and have Sylvia Jones, deputy premier, take over for a while, and the PCs can figure it out. But that, to me, that's my red line. I don't like any of this. I don't like the lying that went on here. I don't like the talking down to us as the electorate. I hate all of it. Now, I'll give Doug Ford credit. Not many politicians just flat out apologize like that. You don't see it. I'll give him credit on that. Next to Margaritaville, I'd have picked a different spot yesterday.
It was an interesting location.
It's a very interesting location. I know that Margaritaville very well in Niagara Falls. But to me, that's the red line. We'll see where that plays out. And we'll see what this does to his poll numbers, because I don't think the pressure was too much, Tim. The pressure was too much.
And the interesting question now, and we'll see whether or not this apology and this reversal will boost poll numbers. Will people see the apology for, what it is? A politician who we don't see very often come out and say we did wrong. The thing is that the apology, the mistake being acknowledged, was acknowledged weeks ago. It just wasn't turned around for whatever reason. And so now that it has been turned around, will people, decide that, okay, this is someone who is listening to us, or will they go ahead and credit or question credibility down the road when it comes to Ontario Place, when it comes to healthcare? It'll be interesting. Of course, legislature resumes on Monday, so that will be a very interesting
lively
restart.
session, Tim.
Yeah.
Lively session.